Have you ever felt invisible, carrying a burden that no one seems to notice, a pain that consumes you from within? Today's topic, the woman with the issue of blood, faith that touches the heart of Jesus, invites you to dive into a story that deeply resonates with these feelings, revealing the strength that can be born from the deepest vulnerability. This biblical narrative is not just an ancient account. It is a mirror for our own silent struggles. This topic is of extreme relevance to every woman who feels weary, seeking purpose, wisdom, and genuine transformation. It addresses hope amidst despair, the courage to seek healing when all else has failed, and the extraordinary capacity of faith to move the divine heart. Your struggle, however unique it may seem, finds an echo in this ancient story of overcoming and renewal. In this video, we will explore in detail the journey of this anonymous woman, her condition, the social and religious challenges she faced, and how her faith propelled her to an act that would change her life forever. We will analyze the crucial moment of the touch, Jesus' reaction, and the timeless lessons we can extract to apply in our own search for unshakable faith and meaningful transformation in our days. To understand the magnitude of her faith and the impact of her healing, it is essential that we transport ourselves to the context of her time. Before delving into the miracle, we need to understand the oppressive reality that surrounded her, the laws and stigmas that shaped her existence and amplified her pain, preparing the ground for her boldness. Imagine living in a society where your physical condition is not just a disease, but a social and religious stigma that completely isolates you. In those times, a woman with an issue of blood was considered unclean by Mosaic law, Leviticus 15:25-27. This meant that everything she touched would become unclean, and no one could touch her or anything she had touched. This concept of impurity went far beyond a matter of hygiene. It implied a total exclusion from community life, religious rituals, and even family interaction. You would constantly be on the sidelines, a shadow, without access to celebrations, the temple, or the simple comfort of an embrace. Solitude and shame were constant companions, amplifying the physical pain of the illness. Various perspectives emerged when analyzing her situation: the community's view, which avoided her, or the religious leaders' view, who considered her ceremonially unclean. And most importantly, her own perspective, marked by 12 long years of suffering, not only from the illness but also from rejection and the failure of doctors to find a cure, as Mark 5:26 clearly describes. To visualize the weight of this reality, imagine having a chronic illness that, in addition to debilitating your body, prevented you from going to work, interacting with friends and family, or participating in any social or religious event. You would be constantly reminded of your condition by every glance and every gesture of avoidance. Your life would be an eternal and painful exile. It is crucial to understand that this woman was not just seeking physical healing. She yearned for complete restoration, social, religious, and emotional. This context of deep marginalization and despair is the backdrop for the extraordinary act of faith you are about to witness. A touch that transcended the physical and cried out for more than just an end to her bleeding. Facing 12 years of suffering, depleted financial resources, and growing hopelessness, the woman with the issue of blood heard about Jesus. This was not just any rumor, but news of a man who performed miracles, who spoke with authority, and who seemed not to care about social conventions or impurities. Her hope, once crushed, reignited with an ardent intensity. Her decision was an act of pure boldness. Instead of approaching openly, risking being rebuked for her impurity, she opted for a discreet plan, yet full of faith. She thought, if I just touch his cloak, I will be healed, Mark 5:28. Imagine yourself in the midst of a dense crowd, pushing, dodging, with a weak body and a pounding heart to reach your goal. The beauty of this attitude lies in its simplicity and its depth. There were no shouts, no explicit requests, just a silent conviction that divine power emanated from Jesus, accessible even through a furtive touch of his garments. It is a demonstration that true faith often operates in silence, in acts that may seem small but carry immense power. However, it is fundamental to understand that this touch was not a magic trick or an attempt at manipulation. It was an act of genuine faith, born from an afflicted heart, yet completely believing in Jesus' power. The woman did not expect a spectacle, but a discreet healing. Her vulnerability and deep belief were the catalyst for her action, not frivolity or recklessness. This silent quest for a touch on Jesus' cloak is what will lead us to the next crucial point in the story: Jesus' unexpected response. You might think her act would go unnoticed in the crowd, But what happened next would completely transform her search for an anonymous touch into a public testimony of faith that moves mountains. Against all expectations, the woman's touch did not go unnoticed. Jesus stopped abruptly, turned to the crowd, and asked, "Who touched me?" Mark 5:30. Imagine the confusion of the disciples, seeing him in the midst of a crowd pressing in on him from all sides, and the anguish of the woman who had desired discretion and was now publicly exposed. Power had gone out from him. The disciples, with purely human logic, argued that it was impossible to identify a single touch amidst so many pushes. But Jesus knew it was different. He was not referring to a casual brush, but to an intentional touch, loaded with faith, which had drawn out healing power. His perception went far beyond the physical, sensing a deep spiritual connection. And this is where the difference between a touch and a touch of faith becomes crucial. Many in the crowd touched Jesus physically, but only one touch generated a divine response. This distinction teaches us that it is not physical proximity, but the intention of the heart and unshakable belief that activate transformative power. It is a valuable lesson about the quality of our own approach to the sacred. It is important, however, to contextualize. This is not a call for a reckless approach or to expect every physical touch to result in a miracle. The story emphasizes that it was the woman's faith, not the simple mechanical act of touching, that healed her. She believed that Jesus was the sole source of her liberation, and that deep belief activated divine grace in a unique way. Jesus' question was not asked out of ignorance, but to reveal this woman's faith and consolidate her miracle. His decision not to let the act remain secret would transform a personal healing into a powerful testimony. And what Jesus would say next, calling her daughter, would seal not only her physical healing but also her complete restoration, something we will explore in depth. The woman, trembling and aware of what had happened to her, prostrated herself before Jesus and confessed the whole truth, revealing her 12 years of suffering and the act of faith that led her to him. Mark 5:33. Her confession was not a punishment but an opportunity for Jesus to publicly ratify her miracle and grant her something much deeper than just physical healing. It was then that Jesus, with unusual tenderness, called her daughter. This word, coming from a master to a marginalized woman, was an act of profound dignity and restoration of identity. He not only healed her of her illness, he restored her to the community, granting her a status of acceptance and love. He continued, stating, "Your faith has healed you. Go in peace." Mark 5:34. The phrase, "Your faith has saved you," transcends physical healing, pointing to a complete salvation from illness, social impurity, and the weight of loneliness. She was sent in peace, indicating a state of wholeness and well-being that only genuine faith in Jesus' touch could provide. It was not just relief, but a totality of body, soul, and spirit. It is crucial to understand that this narrative does not suggest a magical or infallible method for healing, but rather illustrates the power of faith, operating in conjunction with divine compassion. It is not a formula, but a profound connection between the unshakable belief of a desperate heart and the limitless grace of Jesus. The woman with the issue of blood teaches us about the audacity of hope. This complete transformation, from marginalization to daughtership, from illness to peace, offers us profound lessons for our own journey in search of purpose and wisdom. After all, each of us in some way carries our own invisible issue of blood. But how can we, today, touch the heart of Jesus with such unshakable faith and experience that same peace and transformation? The story of the woman with the issue of blood challenges us to look at our own issues of blood, the secret pains, the persistent fears, the unfulfilled longings. You might be weary, but this narrative invites us not to give up, to seek Jesus with the same persistence and the same audacious faith, even when the path seems uncertain and the crowd surrounds. To apply this wisdom, start by identifying what has been preventing you from living fully. Then, with prayer and a deep reading of Mark 5:25-34, ask God for the courage to seek Him with faith as transparent and resolute as that woman's. It's okay to feel vulnerable. What's important is your willingness to draw near to Him. If this story resonated with you, if it touched your heart and ignited new hope, I invite you to share your thoughts in the comments below. What is your issue of blood that you longed for Jesus to touch today? Your experience can inspire and encourage other women and men seeking their own unshakable transformation. May the journey of the woman with the issue of blood inspire you to cultivate unshakable faith, to seek purpose in every step, and to find the wisdom that transforms weariness into hope. Remember, a touch of sincere faith can change your story forever, bringing peace and a new identity. Share this video with someone who needs to hear this message.